Remember when we went on that road trip and Brian said he was going to try and recreate some of the dishes that we had?
Welcome to Crocs in the Kitchen.
I'm Jessica.
And I am Brian. So, yes, we went on a trip a month ago?
It's
Something
been
like
over
that.
a month
Yeah, it's been over
now.
a month. And we ended up stopping in Columbus, Ohio and going to the North Market, right?
Yes.
And there is a small restaurant called Little Eater.
Yeah, it's a vegetarian restaurant.
Yes, and they have vegan options and some really, really good stuff, usually cold dishes with like some hot soups and whatnot.
Yeah, and their stuff is all seasonal, so their menu does rotate. So every time we've gone there, they've had different dishes.
Yep, but one of the dishes that they had that was hands down our favorite that they had was a delicata squash and lentil recipe that was just awesome.
Yeah, so we took a picture of the ingredient list and took it home, and then I think we've made it 3 times now. This was
Yes.
the 3rd time. So the first time we made it, because even if you have a list of all the ingredients that are in there, it's still hard to find the ratio of what everything should be.
Yep.
And so it took a little bit of trial and error. The first time it was okay. The second time it definitely reminded me of...
It was like perfect.
Yeah, so, and then of course we had to make it again to film it for you guys. So I think that we should just get on to showing them the recipe.
Let's get to cooking. So we are gonna get started with our spice blend first because why not? First we're gonna need some nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, cardamom, and ground ginger. Just put that all into some type of a bowl and just whisk it together. Make sure that it is thoroughly combined. With the spice mix ready to go ahead and preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then we can get to the other ingredients, which includes apple cider vinegar, some finely diced red onion, some pomegranate seeds, some green lentils, 1 lemon, some fresh mint, and of course the delicata squash.
Cut the delicata squash in half lengthwise and scoop out all the seeds. Then you want to slice it into half moons that are about 1/2 inch thick.
They can be a little bit thicker or a little bit thinner, but the point is that they are all the same thickness.
Up next, you'll want to put the delicata squash half moons into a bowl and then add your apple cider vinegar and stir it to coat. So you're gonna wanna add about half of the spice blend at this point and stir or shake it to coat evenly. We like to use a Pyrex bowl that has a lid and shake it up to make sure it gets really evenly coated.
After it's been coated, you can put it onto a baking sheet. We like to use a silicone baking mat, or you can use parchment paper. Just make sure it's in an even layer. And put it in an oven for 25 minutes, flipping halfway.
While the squash is baking, go ahead and rinse your green lentils and cook them until they're just tender. We like to use our Instant Pot and set it to high pressure for about 5 minutes, and then allow the pressure to naturally release for about 10 minutes before we use the manual release for the rest of the pressure. But you can also cook these on a stove. Just follow the directions that are on the package and make sure you cook them until they are just tender because you don't want them to fall apart once you mix them into the salad.
And like we said, halfway through, we ended up flipping all of the pieces of delicata squash. Be careful, they are hot. Yes, we did use our hands because we're stupid.
And impatient.
After that, it is time to get the lemon zest and the lemon juice. So of course, I took the lemon and I rolled it around, sort of massaging it a little. That helps break down some of the interior cell walls and get more juice out of it. After that, I took our microplane that we have and just zested the whole lemon. It's actually one of my favorite things to do.
Peef.
After that, just put the zest into a bowl, cut your lemon, and juice it.
Once you have your lemon juice and zest added to the bowl, go ahead and add the finely diced red onion and just kind of let that marinate for a bit while everything else finishes cooking.
Yes, Jessica made me use a pink whisk to do this.
Hey, that's my favorite whisk.
So after the 25 minutes, the delicata squash was perfectly cooked. And as you can see here, it still maintains its shape and its texture. It doesn't fall apart. It isn't soft and squishy. It is just perfect. Just like our lentils.
Yeah, the lentils, again, you just want them to be tender. You don't want them to be to the point where they're breaking down and really mushy, because once you add it to the salad, you want them to have some structure. So after you're done cooking those, go ahead and add those to the bowl with the red onion and the lemon, and you'll start compiling everything into the same bowl. You can add in the delicata squash as well.
And then you coat it with the remaining seasoning. It's just very, very simple after this. Just gently toss it together. You don't want to like squish the lentils or break up any of the delicata squash. Just gently combine it all together until it is perfectly coated. Then you can add in your pomegranate seeds right on top. And the final ingredient is the chopped mint. Make sure that it is fresh mint. And I just chopped this into nice little ribbons from one of the sprigs of mint in the package.
You forgot that you were gonna make fun of me because I kept wiping down the cutting board.
Yeah, I just decided you didn't deserve that.
I'm very protective of my cutting board.
That you are.
Now would be a good time to note that we do serve this dish cold. So as you're cooking everything, if your lentils or your squash finishes first, go ahead and throw it in the refrigerator and let it cool down, so that by the time you compile the final dish, everything is nice and cool. Or you can also just throw it all in a fridge and let it refrigerate for a few hours or overnight.
So there you have it. It's not exactly complicated, but it's not exactly super easy. But I think that it actually comes together really nicely. It's just a little bit time consuming because you got to let things cool down and sort of mellow together for a little bit. But when we made this last time and we actually got to eating, it was just like, wow.
And
like,
it's also so pretty to look at. So
yes.
It's just so festive in the colors and everything. And it just comes together. It's probably like the prettiest plate of food that we've ever made.
I mean, I think I immediately said something to the effect of like, I would take this to a family gathering.
Oh yeah.
People would love this.
Yeah. Like, and the thing that I really like about it is that it's different. Like, I would have never thought to put these ingredients together. And so when we had it at Little Eater, that was one of the things that was most intriguing. It's like, okay, it's got the squash, but it's got the lentils, and there you go.
So let's actually get to tasting this.
Yes.
And yeah, we're just gonna eat it out of a giant bowl because why not?
We're serving it family style.
Yes.
I want to just take a bite of this because this squash is so good.
Yeah, the squash in and of itself has almost a potato-like texture, but it's a little bit softer and sweeter, but not like sweet potato sweet. Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit harder to describe, but it's a delicately sweet flavor.
Is that why it's called Delicata?
I don't know, but the skin is actually really good too because it's got a little bit of bite to it, so you don't just like have mush, you know, if you overcook the squash itself. But it's really, really good. I've seen some recipes that take delicata squash and will actually like cook it for a good while longer in the oven, and says that they come out crispy, almost like potato chips. And I'd like to try that out sometime, but this is really good.
Yeah, the good thing about this is you're supposed to eat it, well, they served it cold, and so that's what we did. Although I'm sure this would also be delicious warm, and then you just add the pomegranates on the top maybe, and the mint like as a final touch.
Yeah.
Like warm it all up and then add those things. But it works out well for us because, like we've said in previous videos, usually by the time we get to actually tasting the recipes, because we've done all the setup and the other shots and everything's cold anyway. So this works out.
Yeah. The cranberry seeds.
Cranberry seeds.
Oh, what are they? Not cranberry. Pomegranate. Sorry, pomegranate seeds are actually really nice too. They're a little pop of flavor and slightly crunchy.
I actually have never really had a lot of like, I've had them in salads, but I haven't actually gone on my way to eat pomegranate seeds ever.
But we, the combination of everything with like that good citrusy flavor. And like the red onion like is a little bit sweet, a little bit got that sort of crunchy, almost apple type texture. But when you get a bite of everything, that's like a piece of mint and some of the squash and some of the lentils, like it's perfect. It's just great because it's citrusy and it's sweet and it's, you know, got a crunch to it and it's got that softness to it and it's got the earthy flavor of the lentils. It's just everything about this absolutely works together with those spices and is just phenomenal. And as you saw, we didn't add one tiny grain of salt or anything to this, and it is just that good.
So I'm curious if we did take this to like a family gathering, if people would like it or not, because sometimes I wonder, you know, if it's just because our palates have been so adjusted to eating this way that, you know, things taste more flavorful to us like this. I'm just wondering like how it would go over. So maybe we'll have to try that out. Or if you try it out, let us know how other people who don't necessarily eat a whole food plant-based diet like it.
True. I'm not sure how your family would like it, but I think my family would love it. But that's just me.
Well then.
What can I say? For me though, that mint is like the best thing in there.
Yeah, that was our last addition because it said mint in the ingredient list, but there were a couple ingredients where like sumac, I think, was one of them.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah, sumac.
And we didn't use that, but we used lemon instead.
And the zest, yeah.
And so we didn't want to make it like, oh, you have to go out and buy sumac. Like, who has that on hand?
Yeah.
We don't have it on hand, and we have like every spice under the sun.
That's true.
So we didn't want to make it too complicated as far as that goes. But yeah, I think this is a really unique dish.
Yep.
You know, thanks to Little Eater in Columbus, Ohio, for the inspiration behind it.
Yep.
And I don't think they have it on their menu anymore. But, and maybe they do, I don't know. But either way, like I said, their menu changes from time to time. So it's good to come home and be able to make it, and then you can have it anytime.
Yep. But,
oh.
Yes.
Wait.
There's more.
Earlier I was going to say. So if you're like, wait, what are you talking about? What trip? If you haven't seen our travel vlogs, Brian worked super hard on editing together these travel vlogs. I took a lot of the video footage, and I did not make it easy on him with all the like hundreds of clips that I had of the trip, and he made it into this magical 3-part series that I just think it turned out really well, and it just kind of shows you a little bit more of our personality and kind of us out and about doing stuff and being goofy like we always are. So yeah, you can see, I think, yeah, the first part is where we went to Little Eater and bought the it's like a mix of 4 different salads, and this was one of them in there. So check out the links below, definitely, and watch those and let us know what you think. And yeah, that's all I had for my little plug.
All right. Please comment and like if you are so inclined to do so. We would greatly appreciate it because we love interacting with you guys out there. Also, if you want, give it a share it out to wherever it is that you want to share it out to, any of your social media sites. That is super, super cool for you guys to do that as well. Also, speaking of social media, you guys can find us on Facebook at Crocs in the Kitchen, that's Crocs with a K, or on Instagram, also Crocs in the Kitchen, Crocs with a K, because, you know, that's what we like to do. But we're always posting stuff. Jessica's always posting stories, and, you know, we're putting up photos and whatnot, and we try to interact on there quite a bit.
And I also like on Instagram when you guys share stories and tag us, so that I can share them back to our stories. So if you make one of our recipes and you post a photo to your stories, just make sure you tag at Crocs in the Kitchen in your story, and then that way I can repost it onto our stories, because it's just so much fun. I was looking through the archives of our stories and how many, like over time, how many pictures there are from people that they've sent to us, and it's just so fun to look at all of them.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh, that's like our little creation that you guys made.
Also, please subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already, and click that bell that is right next to it, and that will allow you to get all of the notifications whenever we post a new episode. And we post twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday for the most part, unless something really crazy happens.
It may be 11:59 p.m. Central Time on a Wednesday or a Sunday, but we darn well try to get it up.
But we're trying to get ahead of the curve and like actually, you know, get those up at a reasonable time on those days. But if not, then, you know, we get our first comments from like people in Australia. And that's always cool too, because we
that
love
is
our
fun.
Australian fans.
I do like the Australian people.
We're going there one of these days. You mark my
Yeah.
words. But I think that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all she's got. We will see you next time on Crocs in the Kitchen. Bye-bye.